I'd like to welcome UK Trustee and EI Cure Project board member Hannah Lark today. Thank you so much for being here with me and for agreeing to do an interview with me. I'm so grateful.
No problem at all.
Thank you. Should we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself, like how old you are and where you're from, please?
Yes, I'm 27 and from Scotland.
Okay, where in Scotland are you from?
From Dunfermline. It's like a little town just kind of outside of Edinburgh.
Okay.
And I grew up in a little village called Salon, but I'm sure nobody will have heard of that.
You never know. You never know, Hannah. You might get to learn a few more people from doing this interview, maybe. Okay. Can you tell us why being part of the EI Cure project is so important to you?
I think because certainly growing up in my lifetime, I've never really had any real hope of a cure. So I feel like now that it's in reach and it's a possibility, we can't let it go. Like we want it more than ever now.
Yeah, absolutely. So because you are affected with a type of EI called KRT10, aren't you? Which is actually the same as my daughter. So yeah. So it's really important to you, and you feel very invested in the project as well, don't you? For that reason. Okay. What was it like for you growing up with EI?
I was really fortunate growing up because I've got the most wonderful family. We're all so close, and my childhood was just like full of happy memories.
Wonderful.
But it was really difficult as well.
Mhm.
Obviously, I've been through a lot of things that a lot of children shouldn't have to go through, like a lot of pain, a lot of skin infections, bullying as well. That was quite a big thing at primary school. I was bullied all through school for my skin, just by one person as well, not
Oh,
just
really? Oh, wow.
I had just one person at primary school. So that was obviously difficult, and it did knock my confidence going to high school. So I had a lot of worries about my appearance with my skin growing up. Um, so that's the kind of things that stand out the most, I would say.
Okay.
Um, and the skin infections and the pain from just normal things like falling over in the playground that all children do,
Quite
and it's
dramatic, isn't it?
often.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, my childhood was mainly happy with lots
Oh,
of happy
yeah.
memories of my family, but difficult times too.
Okay. What kind of support did you have at school? Because you mentioned that there was just really one person that was not being kind to you about your skin. Did anything happen about that? Did anybody help you?
My parents were incredible. They were the people that helped the most. The head teacher at primary school wasn't great on bullying.
Oh, I
Um,
see.
but actually, when I got to high school, the headmaster there was brilliant. He had zero tolerance to bullying. I
Wonderful.
didn't really experience it when I got to high school,
Okay.
which obviously made a big difference.
Okay. Did you because sometimes within the EI community we talk about this and we often wonder what sort of strategies we can use at schools to try and help make people more aware of visible differences and maybe improve tolerance and reduce the amount of bullying that takes place. Did you do anything in school to talk about your skin condition, or did the school try and embrace that, be open about it, and maybe people will be kinder if they understand better? Did that happen at all?
Yeah, I do remember. I can't remember what primary I was in, but I remember that one day someone did come in to speak about
Oh,
ichthyosis,
okay.
to speak to the class about it, and it was on a day that I was off
Oh, wow. Okay.
to speak about it. I was told about this
Yeah.
later on. I wasn't aware of it. I must have been very young. They came in to speak about it and kind of raise awareness. And I would find that most people in the class were very, very kind.
Okay.
A big friend group. Most of the kids were nice. It was just a shame that it was one
Okay.
person that wasn't.
Oh, I'm
Um,
so sorry.
so yeah, most of the school was all good about my
Okay.
skin condition.
Okay. So that sort of approach does help in some ways.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. I think it made me feel better that everybody knew about the condition, so I wasn't getting asked a lot of questions as well.
Because you always have to educate, don't you? People
Yeah,
look and they make comments or they try and give advice. So it's quite nice to just be yourself sometimes, isn't it? And not always feel like you're having to educate people. Okay,
exactly.
thank
Just
you.
myself.
Yeah. How did having EI affect your big life choices, like going to university or what you do for work?
Majorly, to be honest. I am a graphic designer now. I work from home, so it's perfect for me. I've got a little office in the house. I can choose my own hours. I
Yeah.
can have a bath in the morning and then start work. I don't have to worry about putting shoes on and going out and about when I'm
Yeah.
feeling a bit sore. But yeah, it did really affect it because I kind of chose that path because I knew it was a job that I could do working from a laptop or working from home. Um, when I was in college, I went on work experience for 2 weeks
Mhm.
and absolutely loved it. I worked in the big city. It was a really wonderful company. But by the end of it, my feet were just an absolute mess. Just by having to walk every day to commute,
Okay.
by being out and about all day and not having a lot of time for my skincare routine. So that kind of really showed me that it just wouldn't be possible to go out to work.
So that sort of work experience gave you an idea of what the real world and the real working world would be like, and you made adjustments accordingly. Okay, well done. Are you happy? Are you content in what you do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I am happy now. I think when because I went to college, I studied graphic design at college, and I did love that kind of interaction with people. It was only 2.5 days a week, so it was perfect for me. The rest of the
Nice.
time,
Okay.
home. And it was quite disappointing that I couldn't go for a big high flying job in an agency or
Yeah.
um, anything like that. But I think now that I am working from home, it just feels perfect for me, and I wouldn't change it now.
Okay. Okay. That's good. I mean, I think everybody has those little what if moments, don't they? What could I have been if I did this? But in reality, I think as all of us get a bit older and maybe a little wiser, we realize actually just that day to day, the comforts, the things that you enjoy, those things are probably more important than shooting for the stars sometimes. I'm not saying that you can't, but sometimes having a skin condition like EI makes you plan more than perhaps the average person would. So in some ways, you've probably come to the conclusion much faster than somebody else would do, that this is really suitable for you and makes you happy. So I'm glad that you feel content, and that you've sort of made peace with whatever happened in the past there as well. Well done. Because a lot of people don't realize that until they're much older. So you've done well there. EI has been a positive in some ways there. Okay, so I'm sure we've talked a little bit about it before, but I'm sure everybody would like to join me in saying congratulations about your pregnancy and your upcoming first time being a mother. How many weeks do you have to go now?
About a week and a half.
My
Yeah.
goodness. Because you've just sort of finished work, haven't you, for maternity leave?
Yeah, yeah.
Well.
I did plan to finish work a bit sooner, but yeah, being self-employed, it just didn't pan out the way I planned.
And what will you do actually? Because being self-employed, what does that mean for you in terms of your maternity leave? How long will it be? Or do you feel able?
I planned to stop work for a year.
Okay.
We've been through so much to get pregnant that I just feel like I just want to make the absolute most of the baby and being off. I do have a couple of clients who really rely on me, and they are quite big commitments. So I've told them that I will do a little bit of work for them after a few months. So I'll start maybe doing a little bit of work for them, but mostly I'll be taking a year off.
Good. I hope you should do. You should do. I mean, a year is fairly typical for somebody in the UK. So for other countries, I'd be like, oh my goodness, a year. And there are other countries who have longer. But I think it's nice that you recognize that you want to spend that time and not rush back. So I hope those clients are respectful of that and let you enjoy being a mum for the first year. Okay, can you tell me how having EI influenced your pregnancy?
Majorly, actually. My partner and I had to make a really, really big decision a couple of years ago to go for PGD-IVF. Basically, I always knew from when I was young that I wanted to be a mum, but I didn't want to pass my condition on to the baby. And obviously, when I explained this to my partner, he agreed with me, and he obviously just he listened to my opinion on it, and he was happy for us to go down the IVF route as well.
Mm.
So yeah, that made it a lot more difficult.
Did you had to plan a lot in advance as well, didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Because do you take a particular type of medication to help with your EI?
Yeah, I take retinoids.
Mhm.
When I was about 8, I started on acetretin,
Okay.
which was an absolute miracle worker for me.
Mm.
I know it doesn't work for everybody, and it doesn't take away all the kind of
No.
symptoms like Beosis. But a big thing for me was that it takes away the kind of thickness of the skin, which that kind of means that your joints are able to move a lot easier. I found myself in a lot less pain and a lot less prone to skin infections. Um, Also, obviously, for going to high school, it made it a lot easier that I looked a lot more normal, as
Yeah,
we would
no, I understand.
say. So I had to come off that for a couple of years before starting IVF. I was
Mhm.
able to go onto another retinoid. It wasn't quite as good as the acetretin, but it was kind of in between.
Mhm.
And then before we actually started treatment, I had to come off that one for just over a month before it as well. So
Okay.
it took a lot of planning in advance.
That's right, because acetretin carries a significant warning with regards to potential birth defects, doesn't it, for children? So you have to come off it for a number of years before you even think about trying to get pregnant. So you and your partner really had to think for a long time about what you wanted. And you always had to be very careful as well to make sure that you didn't get pregnant before wanting to, yeah, because of the medication. Will you go back on it afterwards, do you think, after you've had your baby? Yeah.
To be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting used to being off it in a sense that I'm so happy with being pregnant that I'm not letting my skin bother me too much right now.
Oh,
Um, Obviously, when I was going through the IVF, it really bothered me because I didn't know how long I was going to have to be off it
oh,
for.
so much uncertainty. Hmm.
So obviously, when I was in a lot of pain with my skin, and it would really upset me that I didn't kind of have an end point. Um, but yeah, now I've spoke to my dermatologist, and I can't go straight back on it because it can slow down healing.
Yeah.
So I've got an appointment for January. We're going to review things then, and if I'm all healed up, then I will be able to go back on it.
Okay.
And I am really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I should probably explain a little bit with acetretin. They don't exactly know why or how it works, but it works particularly well for the type that you have, which is KRT10 EI. It's reportedly much better for that type than it is for some of the other types of EI. But what it does is it slows down the rate of hyperkeratosis. So that excess skin growth that affects everybody with EI, where you get very thickened skin on the joints and flexures that cracks and limits your mobility, all of that slows down. So if you take too much of it or too high a dose, then the skin gets really thin and you get more blisters and more pain. But if you get the balance right, then you reduce the amount of thick skin that you have. You still have to work at it because you can't go fully into the dose because then there are other risks. But our experience of it is that it sort of halved the amount of time that we had to spend on skincare. And, you know, when you're looking at a routine that can take 4 or 5 hours a day, halving that is life-changing, isn't it? It gives you your life back. It makes daily tasks much more achievable, and being able to have a job much more achievable, I would say, with that medication. So it's a really important medication, but it isn't a cure. It's very life-changing, but it's not enough in some ways. So we still want to pursue a cure, don't we? Really?
Yeah. It
Okay.
makes it makes life a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And once the baby's here as well, I just feel like anything that can make life a little bit easier, make my skin a little bit more comfortable, I would welcome that.
Definitely. I mean, whatever happens, that's the thing. People with EI are very adaptable. I think you're like, okay, this is what I have today, or this is what's happening in my life right now, and you know that you'll find a way because you've always found a way in the past, through the pain, through the difficulty, whatever. So you know, it's quite easy to be positive actually about what you can achieve, because we've always had to do so much, and so you will find a way definitely to balance your baby and your skincare, I'm sure. But I'm sure it would be nice to not have to spend so much time having to look after yourself as well.
Definitely would be.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'll get back to the questions. Would you mind telling us a bit more about what the process of PGD-IVF was like?
Yeah. To be honest, it was the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life. That's obviously including anything I've ever been through with EI. But obviously it was worth every second. I can't speak highly of it enough, because I think it's incredible that we even had that opportunity to do that. It was a really long process, and I think the worst part about it was the waiting. You're constantly waiting for appointments, waiting to start treatment, and you never really know how long that's going to take. First of all, we got referred to a genetic counsellor, who had to apply. She had to apply for a license for us to actually be able to do the IVF because of my condition. It hadn't ever been, well, nobody in Scotland had ever done IVF who had my condition, so they basically had to say that it was worthy of doing IVF and it was serious enough.
Did you have to do anything to prove that, or did they do it?
The genetic counsellor, she was brilliant. She done all the legal side of it. We had to write a few statements, but she done most of it. It just took ages. We waited about 6 months for it to be approved, which obviously in the grand scheme of things doesn't seem like too long, but
no, but it is when you've had to wait so long and you've been thinking about it for such a long time. But it's quite hard for people to grasp what EI is like, because when we look at you, Hannah, you look just like any other healthy person. You can't tell that you have a skin condition and the gravity of that skin condition. So our experience has always been very much, we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to prove how bad things can get when, you know, when you just allow the skin condition to take over in some ways. So we've always kept, you know, a journal of images and a diary of difficult times, just because we've always felt that we have to prove it, because people come and they assess our daughter and they look at her and they're like, there's nothing different. And you're like, well, actually, and then you explain the condition. So it's very much this concept of people not understanding something unless they've experienced themselves. So I've always felt as though you have to advocate and you have to work quite hard to prove that there's a difference, to prove that it's actually a really severe condition. But it's so difficult for so many people to comprehend, particularly when it's like 1 in 300,000. So I hope the genetic counsellor now understands a bit more about EI now after.
Yeah, definitely. And the license now is in place, so that if anybody else in Scotland went for IVF, it would already be in place. It wouldn't have to
Oh,
be.
that's wonderful. I imagine that makes you feel quite good, doesn't it? That you
Yeah, it does
help
actually.
somebody out in the future, paying kindness forwards. Yeah, very good.
Once we got the license, we got an appointment with the fertility specialist. We were then put on another waiting list to start treatment. It was a bit longer because of the pandemic. The waiting list was longer. So we waited about another 6 months before we could even start treatment. And then once we did, it was injections every day for a couple of weeks. My partner Sean done that. He was incredible. He was just brilliant at doing them. There's no way I could have done them to myself.
Was it painful? Did you actually have any effects on your skin as a result of those injections or not?
Actually, no. It was painful, and it's basically they're injecting lots of hormones into my stomach so that I will produce as many eggs as possible. So my stomach kind of sore and bloated, and you can start to feel quite sick, tired, different side effects. But yeah, that was a couple of weeks you had to do that for, and then once they thought that you had enough eggs, then I went for an egg collection, which is quite a big procedure as well.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a minor surgery in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was in bed for about a week recovering afterwards, in a lot of pain with my stomach. I could hardly get out of bed afterwards.
Wow.
So they done the egg collection and the mix the egg and the sperm into embryos, and you're waiting for a phone call to find out how many embryos you've got. And then those embryos then get sent away for genetic testing, and then we had to wait another couple of weeks to find out if any of them didn't have ichthyosis. And well, it turned out that we had 4 embryos sent away. There's obviously a 50-50 chance of passing it on, so we were quite positive. And we got a phone call to say that all of them had the condition, which was quite a shock.
Oh wow.
So that was completely heartbreaking. That was our first round just over then. And then they told us that the second round we would have to probably wait until the following year. Which just made it more difficult, knowing that I think you did need some time to get over it, but you wanted to know that it wasn't going to be too far away before you could kind of start again.
Well, it's a process of grief, isn't it? Because in your mind you are already at the finish line, aren't you? You're waiting to be pregnant, to have a baby, and so being told that you can't in that moment, you grieve all of those thoughts, don't you? And that's really hard. I'm so sorry.
The embryos, obviously, that you've lost, the 4 of them, there was like so much hope in them, and then to lose them is really difficult. So we got really lucky though, in a sense, because we were told that we would have to wait until the following year. This was in July. And we another couple ended up getting pregnant spontaneously, who had a slot in November.
Oh, so you got their slots.
We got their slot.
Yay.
It was incredible. Obviously, I look back now, and that slot, the second round, is the one that worked for us.
Oh, wonderful.
So if it hadn't been for that couple getting pregnant miraculously.
Yeah. Oh, well, what a double positive. How nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
They got what they want and you get what you want too.
That went a lot better. We actually only got 3 embryos in that round, but one of them never had the condition, and that little one was transferred back in March this year. and she is now due just
So
over a week.
So you literally just had one shot out of the 2 rounds. You had one that was not affected with the condition. I mean, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because the thought of a 50-50 chance per pregnancy, you kind of think that those odds are almost in your favor. Like, I know that it's 50-50, so it's not, but actually learning about other people who've been through this process, they have also had a larger number of embryos that were affected versus not. So, and I actually think, you know, in the future, when more people go through this process and we're looking at autosomal dominant conditions like EI, you know, maybe that 50-50 is an inaccurate estimate. We don't know.
I think it is crazy, really, when you look at it, that we had 7 embryos and only one of them didn't have the condition. That's how we just think that this baby is just a little miracle.
Absolutely. And we can't wait to meet her. It's all going to be very exciting, because I feel like we've known you for such a long time now, Hannah, in our EI community. Yeah, you're such a part of our community, and you've helped so many new mothers with the experience of having their babies. So everyone is so grateful to you. So we're all so excited for you and so supportive of you. It's really, really exciting. We feel
I do feel that in the community. I feel everyone is just so lovely about everything.
Good. We're all here for you. How does it feel knowing that you won't pass it on to your baby?
Oh, it feels incredible. It's such a relief after everything that we've been through. And I think that knowing that we went through all that so that she wouldn't have to kind of experience the pain and the challenges of EI, it makes us feel really proud as well, that we went through that, and yeah, she won't ever have to experience it. So just really happy.
But also, if she goes on to have children, they will not have it. There's no chance that they can have it because she doesn't have it. It's a dominant condition. So if she doesn't have it, she can't pass it on. So you've given her children that gift as well.
Yeah, I honestly, I think science is just incredible. And I think the very fact as well that we were able to prevent it gives me more hope that we're able to cure it.
Absolutely.
Because I think it shows how amazing science is, and I just think, why wouldn't we be able to cure it if we can prevent it like that?
We will get there. It's just a matter of time. Money, so I'm sure that we'll get there. Okay, have you experienced any negative comments about choosing to do PGD-IVF at all?
No, not at all. I admittedly was a little bit worried about it. I wanted to post it in our support group and kind of tell everyone that there has been a success story, to open myself up for questions if anyone had any. And I did feel it was really important to do that. But on the other hand, I did get a little bit nervous posting it, just because there's so many amazing children in that group, you know, people with babies and children, and I didn't want them to take any kind of offence to the fact that we'd chosen not to pass it on or not to risk our child having it. And it is obviously such a personal decision. And like I say, my partner was so supportive that I didn't want to pass it on. But it's not just about how you feel personally. It's quite a financial decision as well, and a lot of people might not have the ability to do that. So yeah, it was quite a worry for me when I posted it, but everyone was so lovely.
Okay, I mean, it's a difficult topic, isn't it? And we've talked about it in the community in the past as well. And some people have very strong feelings about both sides of this choice, and ultimately it is a choice. And I think we're lucky to be in a position that we can make a choice. But yes, it is, you don't want to offend anybody, because there are amazing people who say positive things about the fact that they have a skin condition like this as well. It's not that we want to get rid of it. It's just about saving pain, saving hours of care, saving, the experience of not sort of being in the medical world and people not understanding how to help you. And all of those things are big challenges. And, it's nice to have the choice to spare somebody that experience. Whether that brings positive or negative outcomes, it's nice to have a choice. And I think it's so important to talk about it and to allow people to understand that it is a choice. And, if you go down this route, then this is what happens. And if you go down this route, then we're also here for you to support you and help you with your new baby who has EI. But, we are all about making choices these days. And I think it's amazing that we have that choice. So I'm grateful to people like you for sharing your experience, because I think there will be others thinking about it and they'll be really scared about it for the same reasons. So it's really important, I think, to open up and try and let people understand the process better and know that, they're not the only person thinking about it. It's okay. You're not alone.
A few people saying that they've been thinking about it, and a few people like my age, or people even with younger kids who are then thinking about it for them, for their future. But I think just having the opportunity to do it is just so important, and especially in Scotland, you're offered free rounds.
Okay.
So that was obviously a big thing for us, at the fact that we weren't offered it. We didn't have to pay for the treatment, which is really expensive. But I am aware that not everyone's that lucky in other countries, and I think that it is obviously a really, really difficult thing if somebody wants to do it and they can't afford it. I didn't want to make anybody feel badly about it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I wanted to share my experience and let anybody ask any questions that they had at all.
Of course. Okay. So as a first-time mother with EI, have you been offered any advice regarding how your skin will affect delivery and the early weeks of newborn life?
Well, the doctors and midwives that I've seen, who have all been lovely, but nobody has known anything about EI. So I've not kind of got any advice in the medical field in that sense. That's how I've been turning to the support group. I've been turning to everybody else that I know with EI to ask all my questions, and everyone's been so helpful. It was after speaking to everybody that I decided to go for an elective C-section, just because a lot of people did have quite bad experiences with natural births, and it was just all very uncertain as to how my skin would hold up in a natural delivery. I just wanted to take any risk and kind of stress away. And I felt more comfortable electing for a C-section, which the doctors and everyone just kind of listened to my opinion on it. And they supported me with it.
Have you prepped them on the don't use adhesive tape and all the rest of it for the procedure? Yes. Okay.
Yes, yeah, I've done all that. I've spoke to them as well about about how you can't have any adhesives on, but if they absolutely have to put anything like that on, I've got Peel Easy spray in my bag.
Well done.
I'm all prepared. I've got everything in my own hospital bag as well, even though they've said that they'll have it there on the day, but just to make extra sure.
I feel like you almost need to write in marker on your belly, do not here. just Anyway, I'll leave you to that decision by yourself. But you know how for surgeries and things, they'll put a big arrow on the limb that they're going to do something. I feel like we need that for EI or something like a do not use tape here, please.
I know I've still got the fear that someone's going to stick something on my skin, but I've been advised by the midwives to basically keep saying it in the morning of the C-section, tell everyone absolutely no adhesives on my skin.
Or you have a an ID bracelet on that says it also? I wonder.
You've mentioned that actually. But that's
When they admit you to hospital, they always put a band on your wrist. And in my own experiences, because I have a allergy to penicillin, so whenever I've had a procedure, they always write on the band allergic to penicillin. So it might be useful to ask them to annotate no adhesive tape.
That is a really good idea. I haven't actually thought of that yet, so thank you. I will. Yeah, I'll definitely ask them to do that.
It would do, just as an extra. You never know. It's always worth having a few extra precautions if you can. So that's one tip from me. How are you feeling at the moment? Are you excited?
Oh, amazing. Yeah, so excited. I can honestly say as well that I've never felt so comfortable in my own body. I absolutely love being pregnant. I feel like it's given me like a whole new appreciation and love for my body that I've never had before.
I love that.
So I'm hoping that that kind of body confidence carries on after the baby's here.
Hold on to it. Remember it in your mind, because there are some ups and downs in having children and becoming a mum. But try and hold on to that if you can, because it will give you strength at different times. And I mean, I've had 3 children, and there's something quite empowering about becoming a mom and recognizing what your body can do. I think so many women, particularly, well, anybody really, grows up giving themselves a hard time about not looking a certain way or not being able to do things a certain way. But there's something about having children and just getting back to basics in some ways of what your body can do and how amazing it is, that you have to hold on to and just feel really strong and secure and confident in who you are and what you are. And for me, it was a moment where my life became more about what my body could do and how I felt rather than how I looked.
Yeah.
And that was like motherhood gave me that gift, and I've never let it go. So I hope that it's the same for you. So hold on to that.
I kind of feel like I'm never going to love my skin. I know myself. I can never say that I love it, but I do think that it's impossible to hate a part of my body when there's a perfect little life inside it right now. Like there's no way I can have any hate towards it. And I think that after she's here, I do feel like the fact that my body's done that, it's made me appreciate it so much.
Good. That's a very positive thing. I'm very pleased. Is there anything else you think is important to share about EI and pregnancy that you wish you'd known before?
I would say that I was quite worried as to how my skin would react to pregnancy. I had spoken to quite a few people that had been pregnant within the community, and there was kind of different views on how their skin was, different experiences. But my skin's actually been really good. I've not had any kind of bother out of the ordinary with being pregnant. I've not had any added issues with my
That's
skin.
good.
And I would say that I can't really think of anything that's bad that's happened to my skin in pregnancy. I would say that I was quite worried about it before getting pregnant, just in case I couldn't fully enjoy my pregnancy because of any issues or skin infections. But no, it's all been really good. So I think it would be nice for people to know that.
Yeah. So the pregnancy glow extends into EI skin too. That's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of interest, because usually people with EI have a greater calorific need, so they need to eat more than the average person, because they're producing extra skin. Now, for me during pregnancy, I had to eat a lot more, or I felt as though I needed to eat more frequently in some ways. How have you managed that?
I've had a good appetite in pregnancy, to be honest. I can't say I've had too much worries about it. I've definitely noticed that my appetite's increased. My portion sizes have got bigger. But
It's what you need growing a person inside you. You need more, you need more food. So it's okay. No guilt.
Many issues with morning sickness or anything like that, so I've kind of been able to eat the whole way through it.
Well,
And certainly the babies are a good size and everything, so
good.
yeah, it's not really been a worry.
Okay, good. That's really good. Do you have any particular hopes or fears about your skin for the future?
I just have one big hope that in the future it won't even be a worry because we'll have a cure. I'm hoping that any fears for the future will be erased if we get a cure. And yeah, I feel really hopeful that we will, to be honest.
Good. That's really good. And that's what
Very determined.
we're all hoping for. Yeah. Can you tell me about any positives you've experienced as a result of having EI?
Oh, the biggest positive is definitely the EI community. It's just amazing. The people that I've met through it, the amount of people that is online that I know from Facebook and everything online that I've not even met in person, but I feel like they are proper friends. And everybody's so supportive. I just think that I'd never have met all those incredible people if it wasn't for EI. So that's one huge positive.
Nice. I mean, it's strange because before I had my daughter with EI, I'd almost come off social media. And I don't know why at the time. I think I just thought, oh, I can't be, there's too much going on here, or I don't necessarily want to see everybody's news all the time. So I'd come off, and then I had my daughter, and a friend of mine said, have you ever looked at Facebook groups or social media groups to see if you can find anybody else? And so I did. I took her advice, and that's where I found all these amazing people. And it's like a secret world of rare diseases in some ways, isn't it? Social media has transformed the lives of people who are rare, because in the past all you knew was your local community, and when you have a condition that is 1 in 300,000, you're not going to meet somebody else with it in your local community. So all of a sudden, because of social media, we can talk to somebody who's in exactly the same position in multiple countries all around the world. And it's just the most amazing positive experience, isn't it? And I think everybody says it. If you ask that question, what's the positive side of having EI? It's always meeting all these people. And it takes you out of your comfort zone in a way, because you are talking to people that you wouldn't normally meet as well. And it's kind of incredible, isn't it?
As a lot of people, I would say, I'm more close to than people in my area that obviously I see every day. And there's some people that I've never met and I feel such a big connection with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely grateful for the community on social media. And it's just I would never be able to delete my Facebook or anything.
No, I know what they can't get rid of it ever. I don't know what we do without Facebook private groups. I really don't. Okay, is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Hannah?
To be honest, I just want to say a big thanks to you.
Oh,
the amount of hard work and effort that you're putting into the EI Cure project is just incredible. And I think everybody like me with EI and families of people with EI are just all so grateful for your work and your effort. And it makes us want to put more work in as well.
Well, that's the thing, because yes, I am so willing and happy to give my time and my energy and my knowledge to it, because it's so important for me, for my own daughter, but for everybody else as well, because just how you feel at the beginning and at different points in your life, it's just, you feel so lost and so lonely. And if you can meet and connect with other people who are in that situation, or if you can save somebody else the months of worry that, maybe I experience, it's just such a gift. Like it's almost like a therapy to me. It's just part of who I am. I've always been a healthcare person. I've always had a medical background. And it's just in my nature to try and help and to try and build communities and share knowledge. It's just who I am. So genuinely, it brings me joy to connect with people. But also, I would be completely lost without the community. Like, everything that I share comes from other people or things that I've read from scientists or doctors or people in our community. And it's just, I don't know, it's just luck maybe that I had a certain set of skills and we needed somebody to pull everything together. And, you know, it's actually, we were talking the other day because it's a year since we did the ichthyosis support group webinar. And that's where the EI Cure project came from. So it's just that because we've built this big community, this EI community, we were working with the UK charity that supports people with ichthyosis. And all of a sudden, the universe brought everybody together and allowed us the opportunity to talk together with these amazing scientists. And it was them who came to me and Kat Lancashire, and said, all we're waiting for is funding. We can't do it without funding. So if you can bring the funding, then we can do what we need to do. And it just felt so amazing, so amazing. And how can we not take that opportunity?
No, it's absolutely incredible. I can't believe that's been a year.
Yeah, I know. I know. So I feel like so much has happened. But thank you so much for your kind words. Honestly, it means so much to me. But I feel so honoured that people trust me with these things. So, you know, I feel just as lucky as anybody else really in the community. And it's just so important that we all work together, because I feel like all together, we're such a great community that we can do it. And I know that we will, you know, convince people that it's an important subject and just raise awareness as well. Because, you know, just like you've done, if somebody else in Scotland comes along and needs to have IVF like you have, you've already done the work for them.
Yeah, that's true. I know, and I can imagine there will be other people in Scotland.
It will. It
So,
will.
yeah, it definitely feels good to know that that's one thing that's in place anyway. But I've got so
That's rare
much.
diseases. It's about paying kindness forward, isn't it? We all do it. And it makes us feel much better if we know that we're helping somebody else, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Hannah, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your experiences, because I know that there will be lots of people out there who have questions about the same topic and need reassurance about it as well, that it's okay to raise a subject, or it's okay to reach out and talk to you about it.
Yeah,
But also it's reassuring for new parents, because when you're a new parent and you have a child who has EI, you're full of worries about their future. And so if you can see somebody like you talking about it and looking as well and healthy and happy as you are, it's so reassuring. So I'm so grateful for you for talking about something that's very personal. So I'm very grateful to you.
So
Okay.
my messages are always open as well. I always say that I'm always happy for anyone to message and ask any questions. I think we just all want to help each other out, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Thank you. Bye.